separating the merchants from the patients. It's separating the people who understand what is public policy and what is protective business interests and lobbying. And lobby is, there's nothing wrong with being a lobbyist, but you do need to register, and the public needs to know who you are influencing and how in City Hall. Pretty simple. Any other public comments? And thank you for Denise for asking for clarity on that. Seeing none, I'm going to close public comment, and I'm going to go to number 4, which is the impact report. So the Legal and Legislative Committee, basically every year the task force is charged with coming up with an annual report. And obviously so much has occurred in the last 6 to 9 months that it may make sense, instead of going through our last annual report and pulling out our suggestions, doing in the immediacy and what we can accomplish by our sunset would be an impact report of the federal crackdown. And with the impact report, I think it's a real opportunity for the community to speak in one voice to the media, to the press, about the impact in hard statistics. There's nothing out there. We're not reading anything in the media that says this many patients have lost services. We're not reading anything in the media that says, and sometimes in order for the public to read that, we have to feed that to the media. And having it in a consolidated, comprehensive impact report, that could really do it. Blah, 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 blah. Dennis Peron had 20,000 plus patients. We're talking about breaking it down a lot smaller than that and actually doing caregiving where people are provided nutritional support, community support, plus compassion. So the caregiver is a tricky word.
Sure.
I mean, it's sort of more of a legal committee question on this, I don't know. But what is the justification for dispensaries that are doing delivery-only services that are not caregivers? Like, there's no dispensary in 215. It just talks about patients and caregivers, right?
No, there's SB 420, which is one of the best gifts that this community has, and we have to make sure it isn't invaded by the industry, by lobbyists, etc., because that holds patients' rights to collectively cultivate, which includes being able to deliver to people. And I think there's a bit of a push from interested parties that want to have like a state permitting sort of thing, because after alcohol prohibition, there were state licensed alcohol centers, and some states still have them, and some people think that they're bidding for those state permits, which would completely make it illegal for patients to cultivate for each other, and that's kind of what AB 2312 was setting up. And the good reason to have SB 420 and the way to say it's okay for the dispensaries that will be reorganizing themselves in order to provide for their membership is that we need to keep SB 420, and we need to articulate that we have the right to collectively cultivate.
But I'm trying to understand, like, what does SB 420 say about delivery-only services, without any other patient services, without any compassion? If it's just a pure, door business, I mean, that's not what we're trying to create.
I think a combination. I think we're trying to create a hybrid of that.
But we want patients to be served more than just being served.
Well, but some patients just want their medicine. If people choose to be on caring, then the public has a right to know about it. But I think we're looking at an arena that's going to kind of go back to being underground and being outlaw. And when you have an underground situation, you have two elements. You have an outlaw element and you have a criminal element. And a criminal element is going to be focused on profitizing and not going to be concerned for the well-being of others. And to me, an outlaw element, does what needs to be done for everyone. 5 questions from patient advocacy for the impact report being, one, how many members do you serve? Two, being how many employees lost their job
Or will lose their jobs.
or will lose their jobs? Do you have an emergency safe access system set up for the entirety of your membership, or only for those with the ability to pay? And will you, and included on that, will you be continuing any social services? And then I think impact, on your neighborhood. So the local businesses around the dispensaries and the residents that live around the dispensaries. I know from living right above a dispensary for many years on the Tenderloin that it made that block safe. The corner stores, the restaurants, everybody around that area benefited. The true community benefit occurred by having a very well-regulated public safe access point in that neighborhood. So I think when you have closures like when Oakland went through and monopolized, right, and they shut down like 15 or 16 different dispensaries, this was many moons ago, almost a decade ago. Those stores, a lot of them are still vacant today in our neighborhood blight. You know what I mean? They're still closed up, there's not commerce going on, there's not eyes on the block, so there's more public safety issues. So those are the questions that, I'd like to be able to.
Could we, I got a question I'd like to ask, and that's, what kind of, how did the feds come about closing their business? Did they come to their door? Did they?
It's all the same in San Francisco. It's all been the landlord letter. We were just going over the 5 questions that the Patient Advocacy Committee is going to send to the. Well, no, we're not sending it to the task force. We're sending it to all of the. It's the same thing we talked about in legal, sending the questions to all of the dispensaries and getting the input back, and basically introducing the idea to everyone of doing an impact report versus an annual report. And I think that it's also really important that it be expedited, because it is going to be a good conversation for the media to actually have all of that information consolidated in a way, because really I'm not reading anything about the closures in San Francisco in the newspapers that's really consolidated. There's specific separate campaigns going on, which, only certain papers are going to grab one and not grab the other. But if we have a central media piece, it's much easy to dunk that into mainstream media and get traction. So let's hope that the impact report can do that for everyone. With 5, with the state and local updates, and federal was added to that, and we're going to keep that. We're going to keep that on the agenda until the sunset of the task force and the committees, as just an item that will always be there.